So, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self Development with Tactics podcast. And as you can see in the background, we are again on the paulminers.com website. I do just remember that I just wanted to do put all the websites I'm currently on. So basically only, or I have been at basically only the Paul Miners website, the Power Moves, and samuelthomasdavis.com. All three of them are just actually so intensely good websites. They have just incredibly summaries. I do quite well would say that the powermoves.com and Paul Miners of those three have the best summaries. The interface of Paul Miners and the overall amount of summaries isn't that much. So the interface, the interface isn't that much. No, the interface isn't that good, and it's not that you can search easily for things. This is not the case. But on the other two websites, you can definitely just, look for the book you want to just go through, and which is, pretty easy and pretty convenient also. But in general, I would totally say all of these free websites are totally worth visiting, and I'm not getting paid for this, but I think you can just see by my numbers. But yeah, we go ahead with, or we just start actually with 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, which was a book that I've seen so often, which is, I show you, from 0 to hero, 0 to to 1, sorry, which is such a book. Yes, it's okay. I thought about another cover. Never mind. But I still have seen this one quite often recently, which was, quite actually, and I've, read the title actually quite often, which was actually the reason why I've been like, okay, this might be a book that's good, and therefore I just, go through it. I just beforehand had a look at it and just saw, okay, there is some kind of thing into it, so I think that you can definitely benefit from that. But yeah, we will totally see when we go through this one. And I think I will just go and start a fucking head. So 0 by Hero, 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, book summary by Paul Miners. So 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel is a must-read for startup entrepreneurs everywhere. The book looks at how companies can engineer radical changes and in doing so move the human race forward. Author Peter Thiel was the co-founder of PayPal, the first outside investor in Facebook, and is now the co-founder and chairman of Palantir Technologies. Okay, which is, I don't know the company, but I just, you probably know PayPal as well because, Elon Musk was also one of the founders of PayPal, if I remember correctly. And yeah, you definitely know Facebook, I hope. Yeah. But this is something that I do just want to talk about, and I hope it doesn't bother you that you can just see my microphone so good. But I think it's actually not quite that disturbing. But you can actually see my upper body, which is, at my point of view, totally something worth quite seeing, because you can actually see my hand movements and my keys just a little bit more easy than when I'm just sitting down in the ground. Quite. But something that I've quite recognized pretty lately is that a lot of people just really hate on social media. I quite understand it because, media in general just, hates social media, and therefore people just think like, okay, this is just the truth, and, because media is so overwhelming and media is so, so forward and so present, and in terms of the presence, that people just understand it, or people just mean like, okay, this is the truth, but actually through the internet, and they actually hate on the internet as well. But at my point of view, the internet and social media were one of the greatest innovations. I do still see, there are some bad parts about it in terms of harassment and violation and whatever, which is totally a thing that shouldn't be there. But the case is, it's just something like a society. We have our world here. We have our physical world, and the internet, at my point of view, is definitely some kind of online world as well, or some kind of online society as well, with other rules, with other people, with a lot of more freedom, and so on and so on and so on, and only one country actually. No, I wouldn't say so. Okay, actually there are a few countries because we all have our IP addresses and therefore they some kind of are countries. But I do still think that this is just another world. And this is something that I quite realized when I thought about actually doing what I'm doing right now. And I was thinking like, okay, why do people quite so often think that this is not working and this is not something that they can make money with? And this was the case for me as well. So I'm just still a little bit kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of pondering around whether this may be the right thing for me or this may lead me to where I want to get or not. And the thing is, after I've realized that this is just some kind of a world, just virtually, and it's not something physical, just pretty much validates that there is a point to work on here and to really put work and time into the stuff that I'm doing right now, because this is just it. This is just another world, and it would be the same thing if I just work outside somewhere, just going after my dreams. The thing is, with the internet, everything is just much easier, or got what much easier, which is something pretty nice. And yeah, and also in terms of advertising, this was also a point that I thought about. Why a lot of people just still think that advertisement on the internet or on social media are just bad ideas and aren't working and whatever. But I'm just doing a test right now because I actually did run an not an Instagram stories ad for myself. It cost me €2 or $2. Is it $2? I can't look it up because I just restarted, and therefore you just have to close every fucking window. Because the actual funny thing is, if I close down everything and restart and so on, I have around, it was 5 gigabyte more storage, which is totally something that I just have to look after because I'm just running out of fucking storage pretty fast through all the videos and all the files, and because of so many actual programs running in the background and whatever there is in terms of recording and doing everything, and so that everything's running smoothly, I do just want to be sure that I have enough storage so that I do not get any problems with recording the actual episode or editing it, or just in terms of the podcast. And there are a lot of things that might occur or might come up, which is then totally something you do not want to have. But what I want to say is that I'm actually just making a test to quite validate for me and just to see for me if this is actually something that is working. And for now, I just reached 883 people, if I remember correctly. I will just inform you tomorrow as well, because today at my time zone, or in my time zone, at 11 p.m. The actual advertisement will stop. So this is the time frame I've run it, which was from the 24th of February, 11 p.m. to the 26th of February for until 11 p.m. Yeah, so then I just say it. And I just wanted to see how cheap I can get it and how much people I can reach with it. The thing is, I spent €2, as I said, or $2. I don't remember. I by now reached 883 people, which is, or got impressions, but it's definitely kind of the same thing, which is, I think, an ad per impression cost of 0.04 or some shit, which is, or even less. I think even less. The thing is, I got 40 interactions with my actual post, or for they say results for this actual post or this actual advertisement, which is, at my point of view, for €2 just incredible. €2 is quite same as $2. Not, you can compare it just one by one. Works pretty well, but which is definitely a lot, and for a lot of just really small businesses and businesses that do not have real money, or just not real money, but not that much of money to just put into advertising, because regular and traditional advertising, of course, is, if just really, really fucking expensive. In the most read newspaper in Germany, you actually pay $500,000 or euros actually to get one advertisement for one day or on one newspaper for one full page, which is for one full page, just like the left side or the right side, or I think both. No, one side, one half of the newspaper, fully advertisement will cost you $500,000, which is then you will just pretty much basically 10 million people will see it. This is the thing. So therefore you can just say, okay, this makes sense that for the New York Times you only have to pay, I think, 200,000 which is still a lot, but not that much people see it, which is something that pretty kind of impressed me, because I thought like, okay, the New York Times, everybody's reading the New York Times, but in fact this isn't the case, and therefore this German it is the Bild Zeitschrift or Bild newspaper is actually the most seen one in Germany, and therefore it kind of makes sense. Okay, this must be pretty expensive when 10 million people are just having it or just reading it every single fucking day. But still, this just makes up. I don't know. I just calculated. Never mind. We will go on because I just lost such a lot of time. Not lost, but yeah. So this book looks at how companies can engineer radical change. About the author. Author Peter Thiel was the co-founder of PayPal, the first outside investor in Facebook, and is now the co-founder and chairman of Palantir Technologies. As far as investors and entrepreneurs go, Thiel is pretty inspirational. Thiel wrote 0 to 1 with the help of Blake Masters, also a budding entrepreneur. Blake co-founded a legal research technology startup after graduating from Stanford and Stanford Law School. In the summary, 0 to 1 is about how to build companies that create new things. Thiel begins by examining what the future holds and what the business scene used to look like before the millennium. This is such a word that I've been just quite recently, hearing so often. It's just incredible how often I've heard this fucking word. A lot of people use it. I kind of just think this is some sort of a group of people. I'm not sure. I think this is just people that are now in their mid-30s. Could this be the thing, or even older? I don't know. The thing is, I've heard it so often that it is quite interesting that I just read it now. And then Thiel looks at how all companies that are happy are different before discussing the health of competition. Thiel discusses the role money plays in any venture before discussing industry secrets and how to build foundations. Finally, he examines company culture and how to build one before identifying the 7 key questions you need to ask before starting a business. And why do I read like this? Never mind. So, the book summary. What the future holds. It's going to be a challenge. And I think and I've been talking about this one just in another episode as well, I'm so fucking pumped for what the future will bring to me and what the future will have for me. Not in terms of, me being successful, I just, still think, okay, I just, want to do the thing that I'm just doing right now. I want to see, okay, if this is working out or not, I don't mind. But the thing is, which is something that Bezos quite inspired me just actually today and just before I was eating and making this episode right now, because I was working out, and while I'm working out I always tend to listen to some motivational, not motivational but rather inspirational and just business-like stuff as well, because I quite feel like, okay, I do have to use every single fucking minute of my fucking day, and it really pisses me off when I do just have one quiet period of time, even if it's 10 minutes or 20 minutes, where I'm not just doing anything. This is totally fucking me. So the thing is, I just, always quite listen to some inspirational stuff. And Bezos as well said, okay, back in the days where he just started Amazon, which was then called Cadabra, I think he actually explained. But the thing is, he actually said, okay, he didn't actually know how this will go and, where this will lead him. But the thing was that he actually wanted to try it out because he didn't want to regret it afterwards, which is definitely the thing, because most of the people who are just, dying, or who are just, nearly dying or whatever, they just always talk about it. And this is something that Gary Vee also was emphasizing, they always talk about the regrets they have rather than talking about what they did. This is something that really inspired me and really motivated me to go on and just see, okay, I'm not seeing any results right now. There are some numbers, okay, I do not want to be like, okay, there's nothing coming back to me, there's no ROI, whatever, but there is not much, totally. I'm not earning any money yet, which is, not my goal, and I kind of feel like, okay, I haven't helped so much people as well yet. So therefore, I'm just really curious what the future will bring to me and what the future holds for me. And yeah, so therefore I'm just, going on, seeing whether it's, going good or bad. I will just, rearrange eventually and just do something else, maybe. So Peter Thiel describes progress in future as happening in one of two ways. Either horizontal progress, this is easier for us to perceive, as essentially it means copying things that currently work, going from 1 to n. Thiel compares horizontal progress to the concept of globalization, taking a product, service, or process that works perhaps on a small scale and making it work globally, which is definitely the thing that franchises do still have. This is the whole concept of franchises. Why Amazon nowadays even is the biggest holder of real estate is because they have a franchise, and therefore it is really cheap to have your own McDonald's, and to really in terms of the capital and in terms of McDonald's actually being able to do this, because if you're like, okay, every single shop, it's not a shop, but every single restaurant should definitely be of my company and should be under my control, then what will happen is that you just have to pay the buildings, you just have to pay the staff, you just have to pay everything. The thing with franchising is you are selling a license, but everything else comes then just up to the person who is just has to then build or buy the building and have the staff and just deal with these fucking things. So therefore, I think if I do just have an working concept, I will definitely just start a franchise. If this is even a thing, maybe in the future it's something else, I don't know, but at the moment I think it's quite a good concept and quite a good thing to do. And actually, which was something that totally came to my mind immediately, is that it is just the thing that Tony Robbins as well is doing all the time. He calls it modeling, but it's basically just copying other people that are actually good at what he wants to be good at as well. So therefore, he just looks at them and copies them and just sees, okay, what are they doing that makes them so successful in this certain area? If it's, technology, if it's helping people, if it's whatever. He just, looks at the people, just really examines their life and, how they spend the time, what they do in a day, and so on and so on. And then he just really tries to learn that and then teach it to other people as well. And this is, a good thing, because if you just see, okay, this certain thing is working for someone else, why wouldn't it work for you as well? And if not, you maybe just have to just manipulate or adapt a few things so that it is actually working for you as well. But vertical progress is more progressive and not as easy for us to imagine. A vertical process, Thiel explains, means doing original things that have never been done before. It's this kind of progress that we hope for. Vertical progress means going from 0 to 1. Thiel explains that the way to do this is with technology and with innovation. And I think innovation is something nowadays that is a must. I think especially technology companies like Apple or Samsung or Microsoft are really forced to innovate every single year, which is definitely, I think, hard work, first of all, and second of all, might not be the case, every single year, because I don't think every single year there may be something that's new or that's an innovation, Maybe they do just, market it as something, but at the end it might not be like this. But yeah, I could just, be wrong, and, every single year there is something to celebrate or to bring out or just, to give to the public. So startups. Thiel explains that the most common source of new technology are startups. These are the guys that aren't afraid to take risks, They get stuff done quicker and are the ones to break into new industries with new technologies. They have the freedom to develop and adapt. The reason that the startups are creating the new tech and not bigger or well-established organizations, Thiel explains, is because these organizations are bureaucratic. It's bureaucratic. They move slowly, are afraid of risks, and overall it takes a long time to get anything done. So if you want to be part of the future, get out of these organizations and get involved in a startup. Even though, on the other hand, startups are a little bit complicated in my point of view in terms of the financial part, because this is something as well that I've been talking about quite often before. A lot of startups aren't pretty much able to generate money on themselves, which then means that they just have to be funded and they just have to have external sources of money, which is definitely a problem for a company. Because if you are a company and if you aren't able to produce or just make or generate your own money, sometimes, or the time will come that all these external sources will go away because maybe you're not innovating enough, or maybe they're just interested in something else, and so therefore they will just cut this resource for you, and then you just have to just make the money on your own. And at my point of view, a lot of startups just they just get to use to being funded, not funded, but yes, funded, not founded, but funded. So funded. Positively define a startup is the largest group of people who can convince of a plan to build a different future. A new company's most important strength is new thinking, even more important than nimbleness, small size efforts, and space to think. According to Thiel, a startup has to continuously question received ideas and rethink business from scratch. It's about the blank canvas and constantly rewriting the plan. And this is where the future is made. A new company's most important strength is new thinking. And that's, at my point of view, definitely a very, very big part of having a successful company as well. And this is still something Gary Vee and a lot of other marketers say is important in terms of marketing as well, because it seems to be like this, but creativity is really the key for good marketing, which makes sense, kinda, even if you aren't of this department, but it makes sense because having new things, having innovations, having something new to show to the people is definitely a good thing, because if you just show the same people the same fucking shit over and over and over again, they might get a little bit bored of your thing that you're doing, and maybe they will go to another company that is actually innovating in terms of the marketing, in terms of their thinking, in terms of their creativeness. So what is it like? Peter uses the example of PayPal, the business he co-founded in the late 1990s, to set the scene pre-crash. Thiel was running PayPal in 1999. He describes himself as scared out of my wits. He puts this fear down to the way that businesses were being started and ceasing to exist so regularly in Silicon Valley. He was afraid he would be headed down the same path. However, PayPal had a difference. Their goal was to have PayPal replace the US dollar by becoming an internet currency. This was big picture, change the future kind of stuff. They knew the cash was coming and they wrote it out. Just prior to the crash, they raised 100 million, the necessary funds to keep them moving. Any entrepreneur that managed to ride out the post.com crash learned a few key lessons. Thiel explains that the 4 biggest lessons are still very relevant to today's thinking. And I do just want to say, okay, this is a very, very good example for a startup that is working or was working. Even, if they have raised 100 million, they were just able to sustain their quality, their innovation, and, their product. And therefore, they just were able to, kind of produce or just, deal with the money, some kind of as well, but also produce the money on their own. So they didn't need any external sources necessarily, in the long run. But we will go ahead with the 4 biggest lessons about the post of the dot-com crash. The first one is make incremental advances. Grand visions inflate the bubble, so they should not be indulged. Okay, sorry. The second one is stay lean and flexible. All companies must be lean, which is code for unplanned, trying things out, iterate, and treat entrepreneurship as agnostic experimentation. The third one is improve on the competition. Don't try to create a new market primarily. Start with an already existing customer. Build your company by improving on recognizable products already offered by successful competitors. And the fourth and last one is focus on product, not sales. Technology is primarily about product development and not distribution. Because, this is also something I kind of believe in, is that if you have a great product or if you have a great service, people will definitely come to you in the long run. I do not want to say, okay, you have the greatest product and people will just, be in front of your fucking door tomorrow. This is not something I want to say. I want to say that, if you're playing for the long run, or if you're playing the long run, and you are having a great product or service, you will definitely have your customers. Even though your distribution might be a little bit lacking in, I don't know, creativeness or, in just, being well, quite. Even if your just distribution isn't good, it doesn't mean that your product isn't good, and therefore, I think, people will just understand after they have bought it and after some other people have suggested it to them and so on. A good product is always good also in terms of, practically marketing it and, kind of selling it, because actually the thing is, okay, you can sell a bad product. This is totally, we are totally able to do this, but the thing is, if it is actually a product that people buy more often or do have to buy more often, this is then a problem. Because if people buy a product and aren't satisfied with it and think like, okay, I would rather pay maybe a little bit more if you have a cheap product to get a more expensive one, but I just then know that this is actually working and this is making me satisfied and whatever, they won't buy your shit never ever again. And this is just facts, and I think you would do the same as well. If you buy, I don't know, fruits from one supermarket and you just feel like, okay, these fruits aren't good all the time, you will definitely go to another supermarket to buy your fucking fruits. And this is something that's, all the people are able to. There is so much competition, so therefore just have a good product, I would say. The 90s. Thiel describes the 90s as a bubble for the technology world, where people believed in going from 0 to 1. Everyone aimed for it, but not many startups actually made it. After the crash in 2000, the following rules were what the startups lived by. The first one is, it's better to risk boldness than triviality. So it's triviality. The second one is, a bad plan is better than no plan. The third one is, competitive markets destroy profits. The fourth one is, sales matter just as much as the product. I don't know. Thiel believes that we need some of the naivety that the startups pre-crash had. In order to create new technology, we have to forget about the 4 post-crash rules and learn from the past, both mistakes and successes. Happy companies are different and not the same. Thiel compares monopolists and entrepreneurs. He says that the monopolists lie as a cover. They protect themselves from audit and scrutiny by keeping their monopoly under wraps, and as a result often giving more credit to the competition, who is likely non-existent. The entrepreneur are the exact opposite. They preach that they are alone in the industry. They ignore the competition, but this, Thiel points out, is a mistake. The fatal temptation is to describe your market extremely narrowly so that you dominate it by definition. Thiel explains that monopolies have a powerful incentive to innovate. It's the profits that they have built up over time that acts as a power driver. They can continue to innovate with the research and projects that startups only can dream of. I quite do think, okay, just really dismissing your competition might not be such a good thing, but what the thing is that you as a company I'm so sorry if this was fucking loud. I'm very sorry. But if you are just a company and you do have competitors, that's totally true. But the thing is, focusing rather on your competitors than your fucking customers is not a good idea, because your competitors, aren't important. They aren't buying your product, hopefully. But maybe not hopefully, but I hope they will buy your product because it's so good. But the thing is, your customers are the ones who have and who want to buy a product. And therefore, if you're just, making a product or you're making a service, it should only fit your target audience, or it should only fit your customer base, nobody else. And therefore, just quite really, missing out your competition might not actually be such a bad idea. All happy companies are different. Each one earns a monopoly by solving a unique problem. All failed companies are the same. They fail to escape competition. Yeah, and I think the solving a unique problem is definitely the case. Even though, a lot of people, like, I think, who was it? I think it was Bezos actually again. He said there aren't any more, or aren't too much more unique problems we can solve as a business, and which is definitely the truth. There is just some kind of a business for everything, for quite everything. This is just kind of facts. I think there are so many businesses. There are so many businesses who are doing such different things, and everybody's doing something. And I do not want to say that everything is good what these companies are doing, which is an opportunity for us and or for you and or for me, because these aren't or haven't such a good customer service, or they are just fucking around with the customers, or the product isn't not that satisfying, but because there is no other product, people just still buy it. Just going into such markets and making another product or a better service will actually, I think, in the long term at least, lead to you having your competitors' customer base, because they think like, okay, he has a better company, he has a better product or service. Why should I stay where I am right now? But maybe if you just do this move, the actual company, so this bad company, is actually doing some kind of change and maybe just innovate a little more. This could also be the thing. Put competition, but not put. Have I read everything? Yeah. But competition is healthy. It's a pretty common assumption that competition is healthy. However, Thiel points out that competition more often than not means no profits for anyone. There is a lack of differentiation in a market, and it means that all of the businesses struggle. Whereas if there is a monopoly, continuing to innovate, it means new technology and products brought to market, benefiting the consumer and the creator. Competition is not just an economic concept of a simple inconvenience that individuals and companies must deal with in the marketplace. More than anything else, competition is an ideology, the ideology that pervades our society and distorts our thinking. We preach competition, internalize its necessity, and enact its commandments, and as a result we trap ourselves within it, even though the more we compete, the less we gain. Yeah, but I think that we actually then just only think about the competition. Okay, what is this company doing? What is that company doing? Rather than actually just, watching our fucking customers. Because, actually these are the people that are the most important to a company. The customers, the people you're providing a service or a product to, I would even say, okay, yeah, just give a fuck about your competition, Just give a fuck about your competition. Microsoft versus Google. Thiel examines Microsoft and Google as an example of competition. Microsoft focused on building an OS while Google created a search engine. I would think that different markets, different products would mean there was no competition. However, the reality is that as both gained momentum and size, they started to notice each other and work to beat the other. And as a result, we now have Windows and Chrome operating systems, Microsoft Office and Google Docs, the Surface and the Nexus. However, By focusing purely on each other, Apple was able to swoop in and overcome both of them. It only took Apple 3 years to have complete market capitalization at 500 billion versus the combined worth of Microsoft and Google at 467 billion. Competition did not do well for Google or Microsoft. Competition is not always healthy. Yeah, definitely. Because yeah, it's not always healthy, even though something that I've learned through How to Win Friends and Influence People again, like in the last actually 130 episodes, which is just incredible, by the way. Being here for almost 132 now episodes is actually amazing. It's quite a lot, you just have to calculate it by, every single episode is like, 30 minutes to an hour or even a little bit more. Some of them are actually a little more, which is actually quite a lot of time, This is actually a lot, and I do quite feel like, okay, I'm a little proud of myself, because I quite achieved to do this every single day, even though I'm cutting a little bit back on sleep, which is something I wouldn't suggest to you. I will never suggest it. But the thing is, if you feel like me and you do not have that much time in your day and you do just want to maximize everything, and you pretty much want to do everything in your day and not want to cut out something that you might think, okay, is worth putting in the time, then don't do it, and just get rid of 1 hour of sleep and then work in this hour, and then just go to bed 1 hour later. And I totally think that 7 hours of sleep is definitely good as well. But it always comes up to who you are, and a lot of people even don't need 7 hours or 6 hours. They actually only have to have 5 or 4 or something like that, which is incredible, and would definitely something that I would like. So Thiel describes PayPal, and future profits. So Thiel describes PayPal in the year 2001. They hadn't made any profit, but their revenues were continuing to increase. Thiel believed that the profits generated in 2011 and further would be where 75% of the company's present value would came from. However, this was a vast underestimate. At the time he wrote the book, Thiel disclosed that the majority of PayPal's value will come from 2020 and beyond. Oh, something I didn't actually know. But this just really shows that if you make a product, and you might know that, actually Musk got a lot of money out of selling his PayPal thing, I think. Selling his percentage of, his percentage that he owns of the company, and he got, I think, 8 billion. Was it 8 billion? It was quite a lot, definitely. But the thing is, I didn't thought that it was actually doing something, or they were actually doing something that's not giving them, just a lot of profit in the now, But you then can just see that, if you're really solving a problem, and if you really kind of thrive for just or drive for helping people, or just fixing a solution or fixing a problem, not a solution, then you can just see, okay, this leads to money being a byproduct, in the long term. The overwhelming importance of future profits is counterintuitive. Even in Silicon Valley, for a company to be valuable, it must grow and endure, but many entrepreneurs focus only on short-term growth, which is definitely fucked up shit. Never do this. Do not just, do not put any money into making money in a short period of time. Don't do this. It's often like, a shortcut, and shortcuts most of the time do not work. This is something that I've made experience with. This is something Gary Vee always just, tells people, not always, but, sometimes has. And this is actually, the thing that some rappers, as E-Double, if you know him, which is actually something that I quite recognized pretty late, because, I was listening to this song quite often. And because Gary was pointing it out once in a speech of him, or in a podcast episode, or maybe it was even a video of him, but I've listened to the podcast version of it, at least. He just pointed it out, and because of that, I just realized and recognized that in this particular song of E double, it's E dash D-U-B-B-L-E, that he says shortcuts never work, which is, definitely a thing, because, they are called shortcuts. Reminds me of the book Smart Cuts. So Thiel explains that by focusing primarily on near-term goals, near-term growth is not enough. You fail to consider what the business will be in a decade from now. You need to think big picture. Yeah, I think before I actually start with characteristics and the money itself, which is definitely, I think, one of the most important and most interesting ones, and I think you've seen just a few quite interesting things. Talking today went a little bit better, even though I quite feel like, okay, something is going on. I'm not as smooth as I'm used to be. I don't know. I just, still read as much English stuff as I've been used to. Talking even more. I don't know. I don't know what the reason is for me not being able to speak that fluently, or that, I don't know. I don't mind. Everything will be good. Just complaining about it and dwelling about it is total shit. Because I still know you can understand me, and even though I might be a little bit slower or something, maybe, have, pronunciation mistakes, which is totally normal for me, you can understand me, and this is the most important part about it. And you hopefully have a great experience, or had a great experience with me today, and have learned a lot today. And with that being said, I wish you are happy, you get the success, the health, the wealth, or have the health and the wealth. I hope you're giving back something, because giving back, in my point of view, is important. It's just important because, I think money alone, without giving back anything to the world, to other people, won't make you happy. And last but not least, last and least, legacy. I hope you're always nice to the people. I hope you, not always, I just understand that sometimes you aren't in such a good mood, and therefore you just, fuck around with people as well, which is happening to me as well. So I don't want to play like, the human that's above everyone else. I'm so great, whatever. Definitely not. But just, look at your legacy and maybe try to be remembered as someone you want to be remembered. And with that being said, again, I hope you have a wonderful day.